Mr. Speaker, President-elect Donald Trump opined in a tweet on November 27th that, quote, in addition to winning the Electoral College in a landslide, I won the popular vote if you deduct the millions of people who voted illegally, end quote. As would be expected, a circus of left-wing media pundits immediately pounced on President-elect Trump's opinion in an effort to silence serious discussion of the non-citizen voter fraud problem. For example, PolitiFact, a self-proclaimed purveyor of truth, gave Trump's statement a pants-on-fire evaluation and stated, quote, neither Trump nor his allies have presented any evidence of widespread illegal voting. In reality, studies have consistently shown that voter fraud is nowhere near common enough to call into question millions and millions of votes, end quote. The truth is, PolitiFact and its allies ignore contrary studies and information. But isn't that what you would expect of PolitiFact and its left-wing media allies that have in effect become the communications wing of the Democratic Party? A 2014 study by professors at Old Dominion University and George Mason University estimated that non-citizens vote 80% of the time for Democrats. Does anyone really expect Democrats and their media and pundit allies to object to or scrutinize illegal votes that may be the deciding factor in the election of Democrat candidates? Let me give but one example of how tens of millions of non-citizens are a threat to register to vote and vote in America's elections. Alabama is my home state. Our laws limit voting to American citizens. That sounds pretty reasonable to me, that only Americans should vote in American elections. In order to limit American elections to American citizens, Alabama Code Section 31-13-28 requires proof of citizenship to register to vote. The code lists 13 different documents that are conclusive proof of citizenship. Things like driver's licenses, birth certificates, passports, naturalization documents, adoption papers, military service documents. Further, an American can offer any other document that is proof of citizenship. In January of 2016, the United States Election Assistance Commission approved Alabama's proof of citizenship voter registration requirement. The League of Women Voters then challenged proof of citizenship laws in the Washington, D.C. federal courts. In an astonishing ruling in September of 2016, a mere 6 weeks before the election, the United States Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia entered a preliminary injunction that barred Alabama, Kansas, Georgia, and indirectly any other state from requiring proof of citizenship to register to vote. The Court of Appeals ruling opens the floodgates for voting by tens of millions of illegal aliens and other citizens on American soil, thus blatantly undermining the American Republic for which so many Americans fought and died. The dissenting opinion of the Court of Appeals Senior Circuit Judge Randolph well describes the court's ruling, and I quote, "Of utmost importance is that on the eve of a presidential election and elections for federal office, a court has issued an injunction forbidding Kansas, Georgia, and Alabama from enforcing their election laws, laws requiring those who seek to register to prove that they are citizens of this country. That order is unconstitutional. In my view, the appeal should have been disposed on the ground that the League of Women Voters and their allies have not even come close to demonstrating the type of harm entitling them to an order suspending these state laws," end quote. Notwithstanding Judge Randolph's dissent, the bad guys prevailed. Now, what does all this mean? It means that right before the presidential election, federal courts created a massive legal hole that empowers non-citizens to register to vote and, once registered, to vote in America's elections with impunity, thereby undermining and diluting the vote of lawful Americans and striking at the very heart of our democracy. It means that President-elect Trump may very well be right that he, quote, won the popular vote if you deduct the millions of people who voted illegally, end quote. Quite frankly, Mr. Speaker, we will never know for sure if hundreds of thousands or millions of non-citizens voted in the 2016 elections. Worse yet, If the left-wing media and pundits continue to summarily dismiss and turn a blind eye to the problem, it will be harder to stop future elections from being stolen. Mr. Speaker, I yield back.